Bloemfontein. I am now, the weather in Cape Town at least gave us a little bit of a reprieve, so we are able to come outside and conduct this interview outside. I'm now joined by Mr. Roy Waligora from KPMG, as well as Lizna Nel from Inguqu Development. Roy, if I can start with you. You guys are forensic auditors. Commercial crime, how do you pick it up?
Good morning, thank you. Commercial crime and the work of forensic auditors is really around credible investigations of suspected crime and wrongdoing. And typically this comes about from a suspicion from a corporate or an individual that thinks that something has happened, and they typically report it to their line manager or the corporate, and either that it's dealt with internally or they'll call a corporate service provider like KPMG to step in and conduct the investigation.
How prevalent is it in South Africa?
Lukhanyo, I think it's disturbingly prevalent. I think we heard inside at the commercial crime awareness session that commercial crime is increasing, and I think the resources to deal with it are at its limit. So I think there's a real challenge to business out there to address it head on.
All right. Let me now come to you, Lizna. Tell us a little bit about today and the reasons why Inguqu Development was so focused on making today possible.
Thank you very much. Good morning. We are loving our country, and at the end of the day, we are committed to making a change here, and we believe that we can't sit and look at a group, a handful of people like the police and say, you need to do all of this. We are saying business and police and Inguqu as the leader is coming together, and like Mr. Waligora just stated, that normally this comes ahead in the workplace when someone mentions that there's maybe some crime going on. So what Inguqu's main focus is to make people more aware, tap into their conscience a little bit so that they want to speak up and say something's not right.
All right. From today, how do you then go forward? Because now you've got all of these stakeholders here. A lot will be discussed. How do you make sure that what is discussed today actually gets implemented?
We've actually already had a pre-meeting, and we've already set a post-briefing that we can look at everything that was said today and start working on a plan of action together that we can take forward.
Let me come back to you, Roy. How do we combat commercial crimes in South Africa from a forensic auditor's perspective? I mean, you guys deal with the investigation, so you would then be best placed to basically say, look, this is how these crimes are committed, this is how we must combat them.
Good question, Lukhanyo. Thank you. I think one of the key weapons is awareness, and events like today are talking about increased collaboration between business and government, as well as just raising awareness internally in corporates is essential to fighting commercial crime. And I think there are a lot of things that corporates can do with relatively little cost that can improve awareness, and help reduce incidents of commercial crime. Simple things like just communication of what their code of ethics is, what their code of conduct is, and not just doing it on induction, for example, which is a typical corporate thing where employees do read the code of conduct once and then it's left in the drawer. And I think it's one of those things that needs an ongoing effort by corporate South Africa in the fight to prevent crime.
Lizna, do you want to add to that?
Yes, I'd like to add to that. I think it's very interesting what Mr. Waligora just stated in the fact that awareness is, because that is our key thing, that is our pride and joy, if you like, as the leaders in crime awareness, and we want to move forward and make a change. So in the programs that we do that's very interesting is we also make use of former offenders. We bring them into the session. They might have been an attorney before, had an LBA degree, whatever the case was, and they made a mistake. They had an error of judgment and they lost everything. So sometimes if you get all of these people, directors, CEOs, etc., down, we work from a top-down approach, even down to the cleaners. If you get all of them and they look at their life now and what they will lose if they commit crime or know about crime being committed and not talk about that. So we motivate them and keep on motivating them to change, to make a change in South Africa.
Its impact, the commercial crime, its impact on the economy.
Well, we're hearing ranging numbers inside there of 50 billion up to 150 billion a year. There are no reliable stats on commercial crime in South Africa, and I think that's one of the challenges. One of the ways also to look at that is using technology more effectively, and there's a lot of investment that companies like us make in technology to manage crime and the economic measurement of crime, but there's still a way to go yet.
A way to go, what does that mean? How do we move forward?
I think collaboration is a key. I think what happened this morning with business, government, and industry is essential, and it's modern business talk. You cannot collaborate enough, and the dialogue has to continue. The awareness has to continue to be raised, and I think slowly but surely we'll make a difference.
Continuing on that collaboration, what next from Inguqu? This is obviously the start. What next?
Inguqu sees themselves as the link, the interchain, if you like. So we've taken hands with government, we've taken hands with the business sector, the NGOs, and we are bringing everyone together. And it's not a one-man show. It's not one person deciding what are we going to do moving forward. We are all going to collaborate and decide this is the steps that we need to take. A lot of work is being done, and that's also something that's evident today. Is the work that's been done between the business sector and the government. And there was actually a slight decrease, I think, of about 13% in the overall commercial crime statistics. So I always believe what goes up must come down, and we're on the way down. We must just take hands and do it all together.
Where realistically, because we know that it's not something that we can completely eradicate, but where would we like to see that level of commercial crime be at?
I believe that if you look at the past 10 years, it's climbed with, I think, just like 48, 49%. So it's come down, and we got to keep on going down. If we can be back where we were 10 years ago when we did the peak, that'll be fantastic. So every year a little bit. We don't expect to do it all at once, but we believe if the business sector, government, and Inguqu as the leader take hands and also get the community involved, that we can make a change.
All right. I'd like to thank you both for joining us on the program, Mr. Roy Waligora from KPMG, Ms. Lizna Nel from Inguqu Development. Well, there you have it, from the horse's mouth, talking about the impact of commercial crimes on the South African economy, ranging between 50 billion. Too much. Anyway, let's now cross you back live to our studios in Johannesburg. But first, let's take a quick look at our headlines.